This is the third part of the anime. The next day, C met up with Noi at a restaurant and shared his news of working as a cleaner for End. Noi, nearing the end of her training, couldn't use magic during this period. With only 3 days left, they were suddenly approached by 2 witches looking to form contract. Scene suggested Noi stay out of it, but she insisted on facing the witches together. In the fight, Noi defeated Yaku with her strength, while Scene used his magic to overpower Baku. Despite their initial success, Yaku managed to recover. To protect Noi, Scene shielded her and got severely injured. Even though he was hurt badly, Scene felt glad he could repay Noi's kindness with his life. Afterwards, Scene felt guilty that Noi missed her chance to become a devil because she saved him. However, End announced that Noi would now work as their cleaner. As the Blue Night neared its end, End urged Scene and Noi to make a contract with the devil and become partners. Meanwhile, Kaiman, chasing after Yaku, was stopped by Tumba, who scolded him for not following orders. When asked why he was at the festival, Kaiman explained his search for someone. Feeling hungry, Kaiman then asked for food but was given money by Fukuyama instead. While trying to buy Joseph, Kaiman ran into Baku, causing him to drop his food. This angered Kaiman, making him consider attacking Baku. However, before he could act, Yaku quickly defeated Kaiman. Despite Baku and Yaku planning to leave, Tumba stepped in to protect Kaiman. At the same time, Kirion, a staff member from the restaurant, threw a meat pie to distract them, allowing Tumba to fight back and landing a hit on Yaku. But Yaku fought back, overpowering Tumba and Kirion. Using a knife borrowed from the Gyoza of Endor, Kaiman defeated Yaku. Seeing his friend dead, Baku tried to retaliate against Kaiman with a gun. However, Fukuyama used his magic to turn Baku into a giant meat pie. In the meantime, Risu sneaked into the magic smoke storage area, locating the appropriate magic smoke to replenish his mechanical body. Intrigued by a mysterious iron container, he opted to investigate further. Surprisingly, he discovered Noi confined within by Yaku. Accidentally, while restoring herself, Noi released an immense surge of magical energy, while also healing Risu's body, which meant he no longer needed his mechanical form. After that, Risu procured clothes and footwear from a nearby shop. Despite Fujita awaiting his companion near the shop, he failed to notice Risu's presence. Later, with the intention of locating Aikawa, Risu crossed paths with Kaiman, who was vending meat pies. Though they seemed inexplicably drawn to each other, Tumba summoned Kaiman away, prompting Risu to resume his journey. The following day, Fujita was feeling down as the conclusion of the Blue Night Festival approached, compounded by his failure to secure a partner. He harbored concerns that any prospective volunteer might be engaging a prank on him. At a moment of dejection, Fujita encountered Noi. She disclosed Scene's 2-day absence and their effort to locate him, with the assistance of a bloodhound named Gora Gora. Upon hearing of Scene's disappearance, Fujita decided to help Noi find him and invited Ebisu to join them. As night fell, they reached the spot where Kaiman and his group had confronted Baku and Yaku. Along the way, Ebisu and Gora Gora found a large meat pie on the ground and couldn't resist eating it, despite Noi warning about the risks of eating food found outside. Meanwhile, Noi found Scene in a nearby body bag, alive but weakened from Yaku's attack. After helping Scene, who was still recovering, they planned to go to the Black House and reaffirm their partnership before the end of the Blue Night Festival that night. When asked about his potential partner, Fujita surprised Noi by admitting that he himself had applied. Feeling embarrassed about being left without a partner, Fujita decided to find someone else. However, Ebisu then revealed that she was the magician who had applied to be his partner. Initially skeptical, Fujita believed her after Noi confirmed Ebisu's sincerity. On the other hand, End showed little interest as many wizards approached him, seeking to become his partner. Without much thought, End quickly turned troublesome witches into mushrooms using his magic. Later, a staff member showed End a photo from CCTV footage, revealing Nikaido just before she killed the shop owner. End realized that Nikaido was the witch who had infiltrated his residence to abduct Risu. Using his magic, End created a voodoo doll resembling Nikaido and inserted a small mushroom into it. At the same time, Nikaido collapsed while celebrating Vok's birthday with Kasukabe and 13, and a huge mushroom grew from her mushroom scar. At that moment, End, using his magic, discovered that Nikaido was a witch and a companion of the lizard man, their target. Despite Vok's efforts to fight off the mushroom monster with a baseball bat, he turned into a mushroom. Johnson bit the mushroom monster, injuring it, but he was almost turned into a mushroom plant himself. Nikaido intervened, distracting the mushroom monster and urging everyone to go upstairs. Kasukabe then carried Vox, who had transformed, to the top floor, where they sought refuge in Nikaido's room and put up a barrier at the entrance to keep out the mushroom monster. After 13 treated her wound, Nikaido went to the attic to get her mask, a precious gift from Asu during her childhood. Asu had said that the mask could enhance her magical abilities, so Nikaido put it on, hoping it would help her defeat the mushroom monster. Shortly after, the mushroom monster broke through the door, ready to attack Kasukabe and the others. But then, Nikaido intervened while wearing a mask and fiercely attacked the monster. She kept fighting until finally defeated it. They thought the monster was dead because of the blood everywhere. But to their surprise, the monster's blood formed a portal, transporting them to En's location. When 13th saw En mistreating Nikaido, he tried to stand up to him, but En quickly turned 13 into a mushroom-headed creature, stopping any further objections. Just as En was about to ask about Nikaido's time-controlling magic, Chidoruma, the powerful devil and ruler of hell in the witch's world, arrived. He gave Nikaido his business card, confirming her status as a time-control magician, one of the most powerful in the witch's world. Chidoruma even suggested making a contract with her. With the Blue Night Festival ending soon, En took Nikaido to the Black House and introduced her as his potential partner to Noi and the others. Chidoruma said they needed to go through purification rituals before finalizing the partnership, which would last until the next Blue Night Festival 4 years later. After the purification rituals, Noi led Nikaido to the designated room, where En and the others were waiting. Fujita asked about Ebisu, and Noi said she was still in the restroom, feeling unwell. After that, Chidoruma began the contract signing process by using a special tool to open their chests and take a small piece of flesh, which they used to seal the agreement. Despite Nikaido's reluctance, Chidoruma commanded a demon to hold her still to ensure the signing went smoothly. Meanwhile, Sin and Noi, who had been partners since they were young, renewed their partnership for the next 4 years. They'd faced many challenges and dangerous situations that tested their determination. However, Ebisu remained stuck in the restroom during the entire Blue Night, preventing Fujita from forming a partnership. While Nikaido was forced into a partnership with En, Kasukabe and the others were captured and tortured in an attempt to get information about Kaiman. Despite the pain, Kasukabe remained firm, insisting he knew nothing about Kaiman. On the other hand, Kaiman found himself in a room that felt strangely familiar. Both of his hands were covered in blood, prompting him to search for a way to clean them. While heading to the bathroom, he came across a locked room with a pool of blood inside. Despite hesitating at first, his curiosity led him to open the door, revealing a lifeless body. As Kaiman prepared to explore further, the sound of a ringing telephone at the end of the hallway startled him. Answering the call, he struggled to understand the caller's words. At the same time, he saw a shadowy figure lurking behind the door with the corpse. Before he could see more clearly, he felt as though someone was choking him, making it hard to breathe. Thankfully, he realized it was just part of a recurring nightmare. Getting up from his bed, Kaiman decided to go to Kesbiel Park, wondering if there was a connection between his nightmares and his past. Surprisingly, Tumba appeared, having noticed Kaiman leaving the shop and intentionally following him. Sensing that Kaiman was hiding something, Tumba pressed him for details, eventually learning that Kaiman was on a mission to find the witch who turned him into a lizard-headed man and erased his memories. Kaiman confided in Tumba about his limited clues, mentioning a member of the Cross Eyes gang in Kesbiel Park. Grateful to Kaiman for saving Fukuyama's life, Tumba decided to help. He shared that he knew a Cross Eyes gang member named Shimizu, currently in prison and facing execution. Luckily, Tumba had received a letter from Shimizu, in which Shimizu expressed a final wish to taste Fukuyama's meat pie before his impending execution. The next day, Tumba and Fukuyama accompanied Kaiman to the prison to meet Shimizu, hoping to uncover insights into Kaiman's past. The prison, located close to hell, was extremely hot and humid, raising concerns about the meat pie's condition. Upon reaching Shimizu's cell, a guard informed them that they had arrived just in time, as Shimizu's execution was imminent. Tumba presented the meat pie to Shimizu, allowing him to enjoy it for the last time. However, Kaiman suddenly bit Shimizu's head, revealing Risu residing within Kaiman's mouth. Shimizu was completely shocked, as Risu was believed to be dead. Kaiman then released Shimizu and asked about Risu's statements. Still confused, Shimizu asked Kaiman about his connection to the Cross Eyes gang, and if their leader had sent him. Kaiman seemed puzzled by the question, so Shimizu used his magic to summon an image of someone. Suddenly, a huge demon appeared and quickly captured Shimizu, indicating his imminent execution. The demon grabbed Shimizu and tried to devour him, but Kaiman held on to Shimizu's feet tightly, determined to get the information he needed. However, Tumba and Fukuyama intervened, warning Kaiman that continuing to resist would result in him being dragged to hell. At that moment, Asu arrived and promptly cut off Shimizu's leg to free Kaiman. Afterwards, Asu revealed that Nikaido was being held prisoner at En's residence, urging Kaiman to rescue her. Back at the restaurant, Kaiman prepared to set out on the mission to save Nikaido, despite Tumba's warnings about En's powerful abilities. Fukuyama also informed Kaiman about En's involvement in the disastrous death fungus case, where an entire city was turned into mushrooms. Unfazed by the scary stories about En's magic, Kaiman remained determined to rescue his closest friend, Nikaido. He said goodbye to Tumba and Fukuyama, then headed downstairs. Tumba, understanding Kaiman's plan, subtly hinted that he would set up a meat pie shop at En's place, implying he'd help Kaiman sneak in without raising suspicion. Meanwhile, En showed Nikaido's mask to Chidoruma, who recognized it as Asu's creation. However, Chidoruma mistakenly thought Asu was hiding Nikaido, and then told Chidoruma to make a new mask for Nikaido, now that she was his partner. Shortly after, En announced to his household that Nikaido was now his partner. Noi noticed Nikaido's increased compliance, so En explained how their partnership allowed them to influence each other, which he used to ensure Nikaido obeyed him. With Nikaido wearing a new mask from Chidoruma, En found it easier to control her. Fujita initially seemed to disagree with En's decision, but En's threats forced him to reluctantly agree to include Nikaido in their group. Meanwhile, as Ebisu tried to comfort Fujita after Matsumura's death, their conversation was suddenly interrupted by an explosion nearby. Kasukabe and his friends had escaped from captivity, taking Fujita's gun and getting supplies from a nearby vendor. Fujita then told Ebisu to transform into a powerful lizard-like creature to stop them. However, Ebisu's transformation didn't go as planned, and she ended up looking like a rather unimpressive reptile with a human head. Despite Kasukabe warning against interference, Noi stepped in, knocking out Johnson, while Sin fought Kasukabe and injuring his arm in the process. As Sin was about to strike, Kasukabe recognized him as the person who had once helped him and sought a magical item from his body. Sin then helped Kasukabe up, revealing their bond. Meanwhile, Shada called Nikaido to his room and subjected her to harsh tests, like dropping a bowling ball on her head and giving her poison tea. When Nikaido asked why he was treating her so badly, Chada explained that it was to toughen her up for the dangers she would face as En's partner. Chada then showed a documentary called The Boss, Death Mushroom, which was made by En and recounted his life story. Starting from En's childhood, the film showed how he grew up surrounded by mushroom plants. It revealed that event as a baby, and accidentally turned his parents into mushroom plants because of his magical powers. The documentary went on to describe a crucial event where someone broke into En's home, kidnapped him, and sold into a factory run by low-ranking wizards. In this factory, wizards of all levels were imprisoned and forced to give up their magic, which was then used for profit. En spent 9 difficult years there until he ran out of magic and was thrown into a river. Against all odds, he survived and ended up in hell. During his 2 years in hell, En met Chidoruma, who gave him the name En and helped him return to the witch's world. Once back, En sought revenge on the low-ranking wizards who had enslaved him. He turned them into mushrooms, shut down their factory, and freed the other witches who had suffered like him, forming a new family with them. Over time, En's power grew, establishing him and his family as significant figures in the witches' community. Lower-ranked wizards wisely avoided challenging their authority. However, 20 years later, En received troubling news from a family member named Tenjin, as a series of murders targeting prominent wizards, with the killers collecting their victims' heads as gruesome trophies. Concerned by these developments, En visited one of his subordinates who had been attacked by individuals with eye-cross tattoos. It became clear that the Cross-Eyes gang was behind these attacks, aiming to wipe out En's family. Only Sin, Noi, and Tenjin remained among the survivors. Tenjin then informed En that he had discovered information suggesting the leader of the Cross-Eyes gang was hiding in an apartment in Mustama City. and immediately sent Scene and Noi to investigate. Upon reaching the apartment, they found a decapitated body, fearing it might be Tenjin. Sadly, their fears were confirmed when they discovered Tenjin's severed head, placed as a grim message by the gang leader, who then launched an attack on them. Scene and Noi initially had the upper hand with their physical strength, but the gang leader suddenly displayed extraordinary power and launched a fierce counterattack. The eye-cross tattoos on his face gave them a strange feeling. The gang leader inflicted severe injuries on Scene and Noi, to the point where Noi couldn't even use her magic to heal. It seemed like they might not survive the encounter. Fortunately, End arrived just in time and instructed Scene to carry Noi away on a flying broomstick. And then confronted the suspected leader of the Cross-Eyes gang, sensing the same eerie sensation in the man's eyes that Scene and Noi had felt, and knew that his future depended on defeating this formidable opponent. And prepared to fight, revealing the mouthpiece on his mask. However, to his surprise, he found himself surrounded by numerous mushrooms, and an eerie silence fell over the scent. It became apparent that the man had destroyed End's mask with his knife, leaving a wound on End's throat as evidence. As End left Mustema, he realized that his magic smoke had covered the entire city, turning everything into mushrooms, which exposing the shocking truth behind the death fungus case in Mustema. After that, End initially believed he had turned the man into a mushroom, but later saw a headless figure vanish through a door. He confided in Nikaido about his quest to find a time-controlling wizard to revisit that moment 6 years ago. He wanted to know if the man had survived and uncover the truth. At that moment, Nikaido realized that the cross eyes and the headless body were the first clues she had about Kaiman when she met him in the hole. Meanwhile, Kaiman disguised himself as Tumba's wife to sneak into End's residence and save Nikaido. Tumba saw a chance to sell meat pies at End's place with a food truck, but was surprised to find his former employee, Asuka, doing the same with her cakes. At that moment, Tumba suspected Asuka of stealing his recipe and starting her own business. But Asuka dendied it and asked about Kaiman, to which he pretended to be Tumba's wife. This upset Asuka, who had feelings for Tumba, leading her to quit her job. After their argument, Tumba and Asuka decided to compete in business. They agreed that if Asuka sold more, Tumba would stop making meat pies and work for her. Meanwhile, Scene and Noi took Kasukabe and others to their home, where Noi healed them. Kasukabe then emphasized the urgency of rescuing Nikaido, but Scene insisted they return to the hole. He thanked them for their help, but warned that if they sided with Kaiman, he would see them as enemies and respond accordingly. While helping Tumba with groceries, Kaiman learned from Fukuyama that Nikaido had become End's partner. Fukuyama suspected Nikaido had been forced into a contract with End, but Kaiman had a different view of Nikaido. The next day, Kaiman felt sad-ended when he realized Nikaido was indeed a witch's. He wondered if he should rescue her, questioning if she truly belonged with the other witches. Later, he saw Nikaido with End and his family at the main square, where they would judge a pie competition between Tumba and Asuka's shops. Tumba and Fukuyama initially felt hopeful about winning, thinking Asuka couldn't make pies well. However, people started flooding into Asuka's stall to buy her apple pies. Meanwhile, Scene and Fujita acted strangely as they smelled the pink smoke from Asuka's food truck, as if they were enchanted. Soon after, they went to Asuka's stall to buy apple pies, which was odd since Scene liked meat and End loved mushrooms. Scene and Fujita, and even Fukuyama, were captivated by the pink smoke. Despite Noi and Ebisu finding the apple pie just okay in taste, Scene and the others, still under its spell, chose to buy more from Asuka. Meanwhile, Tumba discovered that Asuka was using her magic to attract and enchant customers into buying her apple pies. It explained to Kaiman that Asuka summoned a creature named Angel to lure people with its power. The pink smoke from Angel enticed men to purchase the pies. Kaiman asked why Tumba wasn't affected by the smoke, and Tumba revealed that Asuka had tried it on him many times until he became resistant. He then asked Kaiman the same question, but Kaiman didn't disclose his immunity to magic. Noticing Nikaido watching a pantomime performance without End's supervision, Kaiman urged Tumba to rescue her. Initially hesitant, Tumba eventually agreed, assuring Kaiman that he could handle it alone and emphasizing it was Kaiman's chance to save Nikaido. Kaiman then apologized to Tumba for not helping much with meat pie sales, and Tumba joked that he hadn't paid Kaiman any wages either. Kaiman hurried to take Nikaido away, promising to collect his wages later. while Noi and Ebisu visited Tumba's shop and bought many meat pies due to their great taste. Asuka's magic finally wore off, causing her to collapse and lose her magical abilities. Angel disappeared, and those who were under the spell woke up. After chat, and decided to visit Tumba's shop to try the meat pies and give his honest opinion. To his surprise, Tumba had made a special mushroom pie for End. After tasting it, End was amazed to find it incredibly delicious. He declared Tumba the winner of the pie competition. On the other hand, Asuka seemed upset by her loss, but vowed to surpass Tumba one day. She and her employees quickly left before End could realize she had used magic to enchant him. Meanwhile, Kaiman tried to keep Nikaido away from End as much as possible. However, Nikaido suddenly stopped and distanced herself from Kaiman, expressing her wish to stay with End. Kaiman suspected that Nikaido might have been enchanted, making her extremely obedient to End. Determined to rescue her, Kaiman assured Nikaido that he would free her, even if he had to use force. The scene shifted to the past, showing Aikawa stealing meat from the school kitchen. He hurried to meet his friends and asked about Risu. They told him Risu was in the magic classroom, talking to two men with eye tattoos, resembling crosses. At that moment, Risu appeared engrossed in conversation with the Cross Eyes gang members, who asked him to deliver a bag to a specific location. Unaware of the bag's contents, Risu agreed eagerly, swayed by praise from their leader. As one of the men reached for the bag, Aikawa, who had been standing in, suddenly attacked. He tried to assault the other man, but Risu intervened, urging Aikawa to stop. Then, Risu and Aikawa had a deep conversation about Risu's involvement with the Cross Eyes gang. After that, Aikawa tried to warn Risu about the Cross Eyes gang's evil nature. But Risu saw things differently. He viewed the gang as people like himself, struggling with basic magic, like creating magic smoke. Unlike Aikawa, who knew a lot about magic, Risu was new to it and couldn't make magic smoke despite attending a magic school for a long time. Risu then explained that the Cross Eyes had a research facility in Buried City and believed the bag's contents would help people like them. Aikawa put on his mask and advised Risu not to blindly trust the Cross Eyes gang. Before leaving, Aikawa suddenly got a headache and said he needed to take a break. In the present, Risu arrived in Buried City, planning to explore the Cross Eyes research facility to find clues about his attacker. Meanwhile, Kaiman, aware of Nikaido's manipulation by End, decided to confront End, possibly even to defeat him. However, Nikaido intercepted him swiftly, attacking him relentlessly. Kaiman, hesitant to harm his friend, dodged her attacks until she managed to subdue him. Nikaido then taunted Kaiman, suggesting he was hesitant to fight a woman, which annoyed him. He responded by saying he never saw her as a woman and fought back, breaking Nikaido's mask and causing her nose to bleed. Strangely, Nikaido remained unconscious but continued attacking Kaiman, leading to him crazying into the Devil's Church, where a huge statue's head fell on him. Meanwhile, Chada envied Nikaido, chosen by End as his partner, and prayed to the devil for her downfall. After that, he was shocked to find Kaiman in the church. What surprised him more was seeing Kaiman and Nikaido, presumed to be close friends, now fighting bitterly. Kaiman then tried to remind Nikaido of their friendship, but she continued attacking him, causing him to fall through the floor. After briefly losing consciousness and glimpsing past memories, Kaiman woke up to find Nikaido still intent on killing him. He prepared his knife for their impending confrontation. Unexpectedly, he saw his reflection in a nearby mirror change into someone else who asked if he would hurt a friend again. Meanwhile, Nikaido sensed a presence nearby, but upon turning around, found no one there. Suddenly, a man appeared behind her and fatally stabbed her in the back, leaving her shocked by the attacker's identity. Downstairs, Chada, intrigued by the unfolding conflict, came across Nikaido covered in blood and initially thought she was dead, believing his wish to the devil had been granted. However, Asu arrived and informed Chada that Nikaido was still alive. Initially suspicious of Asu's intentions toward Nikaido, Chada was surprised when Asu expressed his determination to rescue her. Asu showed Chada Nikaido's contract with End and made him promise to keep the events in the Devil's Church a secret. Shortly afterward, Nikaido regained consciousness, freed from End's control after Asu canceled her contract. Asu then asked Nikaido about her attacker's identity, suggesting it might have been Kaiman, but Nikaido confirmed it wasn't him and said she didn't know who it was. She mentioned that the attacker was still nearby in the darkness. Meanwhile, while searching for Nikaido, and suddenly felt pain in his chest and collapsed unconscious. At the same time, Asu explained to Chada that the contract he obtained from Nikaido was part of En's essence, and canceling it would definitely affect En. Chada asked if he could become En's partner by accepting the contract, but Asu explained that Chada would need to establish a contract with En through Chitaruma's authority to become his partner. Asu also warned Nikaido that her return to normalcy was temporary, as the contract would end if En died or if Chitaruma cancelled it. He advised Nikaido to go to a distant place beyond En's reach to free herself from the contract's constraints. While Nikaido and her companions searched for Kaiman, En woke up and told his associates that Nikaido was in the Devil's Church. Eventually, Nikaido found Kaiman unconscious, seemingly troubled by nightmares and fragments of memories from his past. The story then shifted to the past, where Vox told Kaiman that he was in a hospital for victims of magic. Vox explained that Kaiman's head had been affected by magic, turning it into that of a lizard. Vox wanted to know Kaiman's identity and address, but Kaiman couldn't remember anything about himself. Shortly after, Nikaido went to the hospital to check on Kaiman's condition. Vox told her that while Kaiman had amnesia, he was physically well. The next day, Nikaido overheard Kaiman and Vox arguing about the name Vox had given him, which Kaiman didn't like. Hearing this, Nikaido decided to name him Kaiman because his head resembled an animal in a reptile look. Kaiman seemed to accept the name after enjoying the gyoza Nikaido made, finding it somewhat familiar. In the present, Kaiman woke up and bit Nikaido's head, thinking she was a witch. Nikaido introduced the person in Kaiman's mouth as Risu. Kaiman then suspected Risu might have cursed him. After that, Asu told Kaiman that Risu was currently in a city called Beirith. Meanwhile, En arrived at the Devil's Church looking for Nikaido. Asu created a door and advised Nikaido and Kaiman to lead to avoid En finding them. Initially unsure, Kaiman eventually agreed to Asu's suggestion. After they left, Chada suggested that Asu go with Nikaido. But Asu explained that he had to obey Chitaruma's call and couldn't ignore it. To trick En temporarily, Asu transformed Chada into Nikaido, despite Chada's hesitation. Chada had considered a plan to make En hostile towards Nikaido, but Asu warned him not to do anything suspicious that might reveal his disguise. From a distance, Asu watched as En left with the fake Nikaido, pondering where the attacker of the real Nikaido might be. Besides them, the church seemed empty. Asu also wondered about Kaiman's true identity, unsure if it was the right decision to let him go with Nikaido. Meanwhile, Asu transported Kaiman and Nikaido to a distant city far from En's reach. They arrived in the Avending and noticed demons patrolling around. Nikaido quickly hid Kaiman from the demons, knowing that most demons were on En's side and might reveal their location. After that, they found refuge in an abandoned mall building. Curious, Kaiman asked Nikaido why she chose to pretend to be human and live in the hole. Hearing that, Nikaido explained that her magical powers caused problems and led to broken friendships. After an incident where her magic caused harm to a friend, Nikaido decided to stop using her powers. She also wanted to distance herself from people like En, who wanted to exploit her magic. So she moved to the hole to live like a regular human. Kaiman then asked Nikaido why she helped him, where Nikaido explained that she wanted to protect the people of the hole from witches who used them for magical experiments. She also hoped to find a true friend who would accept her without exploiting her magic. Nikaido wondered if Kaiman was angry with her for being a witch, but Kaiman assured her that he wasn't angry and asked her never to use her magic again. They then promised to remain friends no matter what challenges they faced. Kaiman also revealed his goal of finding the witch who cursed him to regain his lost memories and discover his true self. Meanwhile, Chada seemed to have tricked En and others by pretending to be Nikaido. On the other hand, Kasukabe and his friends were on their way back to the hole by car. Moral lesson from the anime: don't bite off more than you can chew, especially if it's your friend's head in your mouth. And remember, even in the craziest situations, friendship and Josette can help you find your way through, even if you're a little bit lizard-headed.